pleased to see you all here. And tonight is another one of my very favorite sessions. We are going to talk about emotions. Good, it's great. Okay, so before we get into emotions, let's quickly recap. Can you read this out with me? Knowledge creates awareness. Awareness enables clarity. Clarity fuels action, and action will change your life. Now, Sharon just asked whether you all have affirmations, and I said the person who shows me their CD will get a reward. Yeah? Let's see who's taken action. Look, I have several. Look how optimistic I was. Look at that. That's terrible. I know that Sharon's made a CD, so you get a reward, Sharon.
Thank you.
Oh, anyone else? Anyone else? Oh, I'll just have to set another one and we'll do those rewards for next week. Do not disappoint me. Yeah? Okay, so do you remember that we said it is what is inside of you that determines more than 80% of whether you have an extraordinary life? You all remember that? It's what is on the inside of you that determines your performance, the quality of your life, and the results as well. And then we say it actually determines more than 80% of whether you will have an extraordinary life. So who can remember the 5 inside or inner ingredients? Number 1 was the mind. Excellent. 2 was tonight's topic? Emotions. Excellent. Number 3, body. Good job. Number 4, life. Fantastic. And number 5, spirit. Yes? Excellent. And now, just to check how, there we go, we've got them all 5 emotions: mind, emotions, body, spirit, life, or your time on earth. Now, tonight's topic, emotions. That boy looks a bit emotional. That's Mum's nightmare. It's not a good face. Okay, so I just want to show you how it all fits into the big scheme of things. So remember I said last week, every week we'll build on the program. So we've got spiritual being, having a human experience. You've been given a mind, a body, and emotions, and a life, just to show you where the emotions go, right there. So last week we did the subconscious mind. Actually, we've done the conscious mind, and today we're going to do the basics of emotions. And there are 4 sections under emotions. So we'll start number 1 tonight, and we'll move on to the second one next week. Okay, is everyone excited? Who has never experienced an emotion before? No. Who experienced 5 emotions every minute? Yes, that sounds more like it. Are you all emotional beings? Yes. Okay, so tonight's session is really going to open your eyes about what's going on with you and how your emotions are really determining a whole lot about what's going on in your life. Okay, so let's get going. We're going to do the 16 basics of emotions that you should know. And when we did in week 1, we had the keys. Do you remember the keys to an extraordinary life? And I said every time you see the key slide, you know it's another one. Tonight we have a girl smiling back at you saying, emotion basic number 1, and then we'll have 2 and 3 and so forth. Okay, so every time you see the slide, we're on to the next basic. Everyone with me? Fantastic. So, basic number 1. What are emotions anyway? What are they? It is how you feel. Absolutely right. Emotions describes how you feel. But this is the thing with emotions. If I ask you, how are you feeling? Without thinking about it, you'll probably be able to say, I'm feeling good, or I'm not feeling so good, or I'm feeling pretty bad. But you won't be able to name the emotion that you're experiencing at any point in time unless you stop and think. So emotions are subconscious. They are not part of our 6% awareness. You have a vague awareness of how you're feeling. And it's pretty much, yes, I'm feeling good, or no, I'm not feeling good at all. But you wouldn't be able to say exactly what it is that you're experiencing unless you stop and think, i.e. apply your conscious mind to how you are feeling. Okay, does that make sense? Now, emotions are pretty complicated. What I would describe as being happy, someone else might describe as being joyful. Or what I might describe as being angry, someone else might describe as being anxious. So the way in which we describe our emotions are unique to us. Only you know what it feels like to feel angry for you. Yes, I know what it feels like to feel angry for me, but it doesn't really matter as long as you understand that what you are feeling is subconscious, and unless you stop and think, you won't necessarily know. So on to basic number 2. So the smiling face, and number 2, what is in fact driving the quality and experience of your life? Guys, this is big. When I uncovered this, I thought, wow, I can't believe how easy it is to change the quality of your life. Because do you know what? It's not what's happening to you that drives the quality of your life. It is how you feel about what's happening to you that determines the quality. I'll give you an example. Take 2 people, put them in a helicopter and drive them out to the Sahara Desert. Fly them out. We won't drive them. We'll fly them out. Probably a helicopter won't get there either, but you get the gist of it, yes? So put 2 people in the Sahara Desert. Do you know what? One person will be absolutely elated and love the adrenaline of it and love the new experience. The other person will be completely and utterly terrified. Do you understand? It's not the desert that's driving the experience of that person's life. It is how they feel about being in the desert that is driving the experience of that experience, really. And so you don't actually have to change what's going on in your life. You don't have to change your circumstances. What you can change is how you feel about those. Does that make sense? So when you feel good about what's going on, do you have a good experience of life or a bad experience of life? A good one. Excellent. So everything that determines the quality of your life is on the inside. It's not on the outside. How much money you have and how you feel about that money. It's not about the bank balance. It's about what you feel about that bank balance. Because as I think Julie said last week, she's known many, many people with lots and lots of money, but they always keep going. They never have enough. Why is that? Because they never feel like that's enough. It's not the bank balance, it's how they feel about the bank balance that's determining their drive to keep working. Does that make sense? Good. So, up to basic number 3. Oh, this is my favorite. In fact, next week we are going to speak about this for the whole hour. Let me read that out to you. You have a responsibility to feel good. You have a responsibility to feel good. Let me tell you a story. Clients, of course. I have a client and he has a brother. And so my client tells me that his brother is going through a really bad time and he's thinking about leaving his wife, and can I catch up with his brother? And I say, yes, that's fine, I'll catch up with your brother. So I catch up with his brother, and his brother, through that 1-hour session, kind of comes to the conclusion that he needs to go and seek some help, which is great. So off he goes to see, I'm not sure whether he went to see a psychologist or a counselor, because this is now my client telling me the story. So I teach my client this, yes? You have a responsibility to feel good. And he says, do you know what my brother's counselor or psychologist that they were seeing was saying? To his mum, so his mum's telling the story. My brother was saying, I have the right to feel good. You see, there's a big difference. I have the right to feel good versus I have a responsibility to feel good. Who can cause you to feel good? You. Yes, that's right. And at the moment you rely on someone else to make you feel good, you are giving your power away. Is that good or bad? That is a bad thing to do. The moment you rely on someone else to make you happy, what are you doing? You're giving your power away willingly. Is that a good thing to do? No. Now, let me ask you this. When you're feeling distressed, angry, guilty, anxious, depressed, do you have a good experience and a good quality life or not so good? Not so good, yes? So when you take this responsibility seriously, what is it going to guarantee? A great life. And are we here to live an extraordinary life? Yes. Should you take this responsibility seriously or not? Very, very seriously. It is your responsibility to feel good. We do not need another sad and anxious person. We need people to feel good. Excellent. Everyone got that one? Yes. Now, why? Here's another reason why we should take our responsibility to feel good very, very seriously. This is a secret. It's a big, big secret I'm going to show you and share with you now. So I just want to make a bit more room here. Who actually thinks that they're a really logical person, driven by mind only? Christy? Logical? Who else?
A little.
Little logical and rational and steady? Good. I'll show you what happens. Okay, so you're familiar with this by now? Body, emotions, and life goes there, yes? Okay, let me set the record straight for you. We're actually all very, very emotional. And 95% of our actions are driven by emotion. But are you consciously aware of it? No, because why? We're not aware of our emotions. So this is how it works. Emotion causes action, and action determines the results of your life. Now again, I deal with high-performing individuals, as you all know, and it is my job to improve people's performance. So do you think I focus there? No, because it doesn't actually, this isn't what's important. This isn't what's driving the action. I'm going to focus on the driver, and the driver is emotions. And we're going to come back to this over and over again. Emotions drives action. Action determines the results of your life. So I'll tell you another story. You go to buy a car. You go to buy a car. So you get in the first car and you drive it. And what are you thinking? Oh, this is a nice car, this, you know, all the logical things, the fuel economy and all of that. Not really. Yes, you are thinking that, but you know what you're acting most on? How you feel when you're sitting in that car. And so what I've seen over and over again is people take a decision based on their emotions, and what do they do after? They justify it with logic. Justify it with logic. Another client has decided to upgrade their home. So they went from a, say, $500,000 home to $1 million home by the ocean, by the water, so that their boat could moor in front of their home. And you know their justification, is that a logical or an emotional driven decision? Emotion? Yes, because they want that lifestyle, yes? Do you know how they justified it? They're going to save $6,000 in mooring fees. But the house is double the price. But they're going to save $6,000 in mooring fees. Can you see how we justify with our minds, but we act on our emotion? I'll give you one more example, and once I've mentioned this, you'll see it happen for you if you get into an argument over the next week. So you're busy debating something with someone. Do you know what determines your next move? How are you feeling? So the other person says something that makes you feel angry. What do you say? Angry remark. Does that make sense? It's not actually the logic of it that's driving what you're saying. It's the emotion that you're feeling in that argument that's driving your action. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so even though, and I must say, Christy, some people are more logically driven than others, so I guess that you are one of those. But mostly, we act on emotion. And once you become really good at understanding this, and you're going and apply your conscious mind more to what you are feeling, you will see that you can interrupt your action by thinking about the feeling. And say, okay, I'm feeling a bit angry. I don't need to act. I do not need to use that swear word. I do not need to throw the plate or whatever it is that you do. Yes? You're laughing, Megan? Yes. Okay, move on. So let's just quickly read this. Your emotions drive the majority of your actions. Even if you think you're a logical person, the vast majority of your behavior is a result of how you feel. And please pay attention to that over the next week. Knowledge raises awareness. Awareness creates clarity. Clarity creates action, yes? So now I've given you this knowledge. I want you to become aware of it. I want you to clarify it, how does it apply to me, and then take the appropriate action, or maybe not take the appropriate action, not take the action that you would have. So smiling face, basic number 5. Good actions versus bad actions. Good actions versus bad actions. So imagine this. You got a promotion at work. A promotion that you've been wanting to get for ages. How do you feel? Good. Happy. Yes, good. We're feeling good, yes? So then you have a decision to make. You can either go home to your partner and celebrate with your partner, go out for dinner or whatever, or you can go out with your mates and drink too much and do irresponsible things. Same feeling good initially, same happy experience. You could go either way. The same happy experience can produce a good action, that's a good thing to do, or a not so good thing to do. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Let's take the opposite experience. So you've been given a warning at work. Get a warning letter. How does it make you feel? Not good at all, yes. So again, you can either go out with your mates and drown your sorrows and get in your car and drive while intoxicated, not a good thing to do, yes? Or you can use that warning letter to improve your performance and to ensure that that never happens to you again. So you can then go and look at what you were doing wrong and try and improve. Does that make sense? So the same bad emotion initially, but somehow human nature is to go towards a thing that's not so helpful. Have you noticed that? So that's why we need to interrupt with our conscious minds and think, what's the very best thing that I can do in this situation? Does that make sense? That's how you create an extraordinary life. Basic number 6 is your emotional danger zone. This is so important. Your emotional danger zone occurs when there is too much pressure in your environment. There's too much going on. Deadlines, stress, too many people talking to you at the same time, phones ringing, pressure, are you familiar with those situations? And so how do you start to feel when your environment's got a lot of pressure? Overwhelmed, anxious, yes? And what happens? You lash out. Yes, everyone's lashed out like that before? Yes, so that is your emotional danger zone. And do you know what? It doesn't happen instantly. It starts and you can feel it build, and you know that what's coming isn't good. Have you noticed that? What's coming is not good. And so you keep yourself in that situation and you will lash out. Now here's the problem with allowing yourself to be pushed into your emotional danger zone. You cannot control your actions when you're in your danger zone. You cannot. You are going to act automatically. The only control you have is to not go there. So interrupt it before. When you start feeling that pressure build, take a minute. Go to the bathroom. Go for fresh air. Go have that coffee. Do not allow yourself to be pushed into your emotional danger zone, because the moment you lash out, other people look at you and they come to a conclusion and they say, that person's emotional, that person's inconsistent, and kind of scary and dangerous to be around. And is that going to make people like you or not? No, it's not. So here is my warning to you guys. When you feel yourself going into your emotional danger zone, your reaction is going to be automatic and uncontrollable. So do not go there. Does that make sense? Yeah. Get away. Get out of the situation. Say to whomever you're talking to, whatever's going on, I need to go to somewhere. I really just need to go and get there, so I need to go do that. And just get yourself out of the situation so that you have a moment to reclaim yourself and to breathe. Does that make sense? Yeah. Excellent. So basic number 7. Do other people really like you? Who's wondered that in their lives before? Does someone really like me? Yeah, I think everyone has. So you remember I just spoke about your emotional danger zone, and when you act out in your emotional danger zone, are people going to feel safe with you or unsafe? Unsafe, yes? So is that insecure, unsafe feeling going to cause them to like you or not like you? Not like you. So that's the point. People like people if they like themselves when they are with you. Does that make sense? Yeah. If someone feels good in your presence, they're going to love you. When they feel good about themselves when they're with you, they're going to love you. But as human beings, we have developed this intuitive sense of whether someone's being sincere or not. Yes? So you can't fake it. You can't fake being nice to people, especially not long term. And so people will quickly pick up whether you are fake or real. And if you are real and you show real sincere care for people and real interest in them, are they going to love you or not? Yes, because they're going to feel good when they're with you. If you're in your emotional danger zone 99% of time, is people going to be will people want to be with you? No. So is that going to help you to get promoted and meet the dream person and have lots of friends and be connected? No, if you're in your emotional danger zone all the time, it's going to prevent you from having those things, yes? But if you're comfortable, calm, confident, kind, in control, assertive, you don't have to be a pushover. If you're assertive, confident, in control, friendly and kind and fair, do you think people will want to be with you? Yes, because they're going to feel safe with you, they're going to feel happy with you, they're going to like the way they feel when they're with you. So what should your affirmations be then? I am confident, I am assertive, I am kind, I have a sincere care for people. Does that make sense? Yeah. Excellent. Now, just in terms of interpersonal relationships or kind of romantic relationships, I have seen too many people go through hardship in their relationships due to a third party. So what happens is there's someone else, and let's take the wife. Yes, so the wife is starting to see someone else. Why? Not because the husband is bad, but because that someone else makes the wife feel good. Yes. So what does the husband start doing? Or if we take the opposite too. So the husband's starting to see someone else, and the wife isn't feeling very good, is she? So what does she start doing? Lash out, nagging, crying. Yes? Does that make the husband feel good when he's with her or worse? Worse. And so what's that doing? Driving him further and further away. Does that make sense? So when you ever find yourself in a situation like that, the very best thing to do is to make yourself as attractive as possible to be with. And I don't mean that in the physical sense, I mean that in the emotional sense. Make yourself nice to be with. And if you continue through any romantic relationship that you're in to make yourself nice to be with, is that person ever going to leave you? No, because he's always going to, or she is always going to feel good while they're with you. Does that make sense? Yeah. Good. So do people like you? No, what they really like is how they feel when they're with you. People like other people who evoke a pleasant emotional response in them. They like to be around people who make them feel good, safe, and comfortable. So there's really your recipe. If you want to be very popular, that's it. Basic number 8. Okay. So close your eyes for me, please. We're going to imagine something, visualize something. Okay, so we're going to go somewhere that we've already been. Actually, no, let's go someplace new. Okay, so you are sitting outside a closed door on a chair that's reasonably uncomfortable to sit on. It's like sitting outside the principal's office. And you're about to go into your boss's office, and the company that you are working for is undergoing restructuring, and you're about to learn whether you have been promoted or whether you have been retrenched. Yes? And the PA of your boss is sitting there, and she's ticking with her pen on the desk. And you can hear the tick, 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 tick. And so the next thing, the door opens and you jump to your feet and you're about to enter and hear the news. Okay, come back. Everyone outside the boss's office door? Yes. How did you feel? Scared? Yeah, a bit nervous? Yes, a bit irritated by the pen? Yeah, very annoying. Remember when we spoke about the conscious mind and imagination? I took you to speaking to 10,000 people, and Leanne wants a stage. Yes, you remember that? Yes. This is the same thing. So were you really in front of your boss's office? No. But did you feel the same emotion as if you would be there? Yes. So what does that mean? That means that if emotion drives the experience of your life, and you don't actually have to go somewhere specific to experience that emotion, you have the power in your mind to create any emotion you want. Is that powerful? Do you have the ability to determine the experience and quality of your own life? Yeah. Yes. Do you need to move out of anywhere or move into a new place or get a new job or any of that for your experience and quality of your life to change right now? No. All you have to do is think differently. Now, what do most people do? They dwell on what they did wrong in the past. They dwell on what didn't work for them. And what happens when we do that? Bad emotion. When you have a bad emotion, is that a good experience of your life? Is that an extraordinary life? No. No, it's terrible. What about worrying about the future? Will that add to the experience of your life? No, it's going to take away from it. So, what will actually create an extraordinary experience of your life, do you think? What kinds of thoughts? Thinking about what you do have? Thinking, setting goals? Thinking about how to solve these problems, how to go achieve your goals? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? That's a good thing. So you have to take control of what you focus on, how you think about things, so that you can take control of your emotions. Because when you don't, the experience of your life will suck. And you know you have to blame? Yourself. Yes. So we all have that choice. You can either focus on what's good and what's productive, or you can focus on what's wrong, and you can feel good or you can feel terrible, and that is what drives the experience of your life. And you know what? It is entirely up to you. Isn't that great? We don't have to wait for someone else to do this. The one thing that I have no patience for is waiting for other people to do stuff. I'd much rather just go and get it done. So if we had to wait for everyone around us to make us feel better, that would be a pretty dismal situation to be in. You agree? Mm-hmm. So you can create your own extraordinary life through focusing on the right things. Moving on. Let's just see what the slide says. So what is real and what's imagined? Your emotions have a hard time distinguishing between real situations in your environment and imagined scenarios in your mind, like I just demonstrated to you. Your emotions didn't know that you weren't sitting on a chair outside your boss's office. They thought that we were there. Okay, emotion basic number 9. So I've just said to you that it's not what happens in your environment that causes you to, that determines the experience and the quality of your life. It's how you feel about that environment, yes? I just said that we shouldn't wait for other people to make life better. We should take control of our own minds, our own emotions, feel good so that we can have a good life. Yes? Mm-hmm. But now let me balance that by saying your environment or your outer world has a profound influence on you. Profound influence on you. So the default position we're all in is that if you have your defenses down, which means you're going through life, you only have 6% awareness and the 94% of your subconscious mind's driving most of what you do. If that's going on for you, which goes on 99% of every day, then where you find yourself and who you are with will profoundly impact your experience. So I want to show you this briefly, and I'm going to come back to this, but I'm going to show you this very briefly. You actually live in 2 worlds. You live in 2 worlds. And I know that sounds strange, and I'm not off my head. I'm off my rocket, thank you. No, this is true. So you've got everything that's going on inside of you, which is called your inner world. And the 5 ingredients of your inner world are your mind, your emotions, your body, your time, your spirit, and your life. That's all in the inner world. And then you have everything that's going on out around you and outside of your body. Do you know what that world is? The outer world. So we've got the inner world and we've got our outer world. Now, if someone says something hurtful to you, where are those words? They're spoken here, yes? So blah, 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 which is what we hear when someone says something hurtful. Blah, blah. Yes? But what happens naturally and automatically? They go sit in your mind. And then once they're in your mind, where do they go? They affect your emotions. Once they affect your emotions, they cause action. And once they cause action, they'll determine the result. But you know that you can interrupt it there. Do you know that you can let other people's words and actions not infiltrate your inner world? Yeah, you have that ability. You can stop what's going on in your outer world from getting inside you. But it takes a concerted effort. This doesn't happen naturally. If something is going on in your outer world and you don't want to let it come in, you have to use some energy to do that. You have to walk away, you have to think, no, that's not right, I won't allow that to affect me. You have to stop things, yes? Okay, so the natural, how things, the default position, how things naturally work, is that it does affect you profoundly. Your environment has a profound effect on you. So much so that they found that I can take all of you guys away from what you are doing now. I can put you in a nice room, a nice environment. I can teach you all the techniques and everything you need to know to be high-performing individuals. We can practice, I can train you, and we can do everything right for 6 months. Do you think you'll be high-performing individuals if we have 6 months together? Yes, you will. Do you know what? I can send you back to your environment, and if you live in a not-so-good environment, within a very short time, you're going to be back to doing what you did. You're going to forget everything we did together in those 6 months. You're going to be back in an environment that will heavily affect you. I'll give you another example. Research has found that it is better for children to grow up in a good environment, in a not so good home, than in a good home in a bad environment. Why? Because the kids around those kids, the peer group has got a more profound influence on those children than the parents do. Does that make sense? Your environment profoundly affects you. So what should you do if you know this? What should you do if you find yourself in a very negative environment and you want to live an extraordinary life? Get out. Whatever it takes to get out, really. Yes? It doesn't pay to stay in that environment, because even though you can interrupt things from getting into your inner world, it takes a lot of energy. So I had another client. He was staying with a group of people who were, shall we say, less than kind. And so he found it really difficult to cope. And he came home and we went through everything with him and he was feeling fine. We were back to feeling good. And he went back to that negative environment. What happened? Went straight back. We needed to change the environment. He needed to move out of that home into a new home, and he was fine. Absolutely fine. He'd overcome the experience, but if you go back to that environment, you need to take so much energy to not allow that environment to affect you that it's really not worth it, and it's not sustainable. Does that make sense? So I want you all to really make the decision to only go in or be in an environment, and when I say environment, I mean with people who are good people, positive people, kind people, friendly people. Yes? So your emotional response to things that happen in your environment is not based on the reality of the environment, but of your perception of the environment as well. So I want to quickly just recap that. So back to the inner and the outer world. What happens here, how does that affect what happens in here? We use, do you remember perception? Your interpretation of what happens in the outer world, is it real or not? No. Not real. It's your perception of what's going on. And just to go for a quick recap, do you remember what the 3 steps are of perception? Memory. Who's got a good memory?
Generalize it.
That's the step 3. Excellent. So you've got generalize here. You've got delete, yes, and distort. So that's step 3. What's in step 2? Filter. Filter. What's in step 1? Visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. So just a quick recap. Let's step 1 here. Quick recap. We use our senses to gather information from our environment, and we all have preferences. So we don't all rely on the same senses. Yes? So you won't gather all the information that there is because you won't use all your senses equally. Make sense? Then we filter that information based on what is familiar. Yes? So if it's not familiar, if you don't believe that women drivers are good drivers, you'll just filter that out and based on our previous example. And then you'll generalize, which is you'll make rules, or you'll delete, which is you'll just go, big, that doesn't help, gone, because it doesn't make me feel good. Or you'll distort, which is you'll change what you think about it. You change the reality of it. Yes? Does that make sense? So, three things to remember regarding the environment. Number one, you can stop the environment from affecting you, but it takes a concerted effort. Secondly, if you find yourself in a negative environment, you should really make a plan to get out. Because you can never have an extraordinary life if you find yourself in an extraordinarily negative environment. You have to find yourself in a neutral or positive environment to have an extraordinary life. Yes? And number three, remember what you think about your environment is heavily influenced by your perception. And it might not actually be true, be real. And so I want to give you one thing to write down regarding perception, and it's a question. And the question is, what am I not seeing, feeling, or hearing? You all find yourselves in environments right now, and it would be very helpful for you to say, what am I not seeing right now? What am I not feeling? What am I not hearing about what's going on around me? Because you might be missing out on amazing opportunities. Every environment's got an opportunity, and you might be missing out on it because you might not be seeing it. Does that make sense? Beautiful. So that's perception. The 3 steps: you gather information through your senses, you filter, and you process. In the end, the function of your conscious mind does not in fact allow you to see your environment as it is, but as you are, because you see your environment based on what you believe and your senses and your processing mechanism. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, number 10. Triggers. This is so important, so important. So important. Who has smelt a smell and it's taken them back to their grandma's kitchen? Yeah? You've ever had that experience? Or, here's another one, heard a song and you're 16. Yes? Yes, you're 16 again. Yes. Who has seen a person come on walking towards you from afar and not felt very good? Felt like dread is building in you. Yes? Now, this is the point. Those experiences are called triggers. And sometimes the emotion that you're experiencing in the present moment has got nothing to do with the present moment. Sometimes that song, which takes you back to when you were 16, that song's the trigger. And the emotion that you're experiencing, whether it's good or bad, is not based on what's going on right now. It's based on what went on when you were 16 years old. Does that make sense? And so what's the problem or the good thing? Emotion causes action, and action determines the result. So if you have a negative trigger, and you're experiencing a negative emotion, you see that person walking towards you and it fills you with dread. And so the action, corresponding action, is to confront the person and have an argument because of the dread, or run away because of the dread. But it's got nothing to do with now. Yes? It's got to do with what happened in the past. So we all have triggers. We have positive triggers that take us back to the happiest moments of our lives, and we have negative triggers that take us back to the worst moments of our lives. You need to avoid the negative ones. If there is a particular song that always makes you feel sad, should you be listening to that song all the time? No! If it comes on the radio, what do? Switch it off. But if there's a song that makes you feel good, what should you do? Listen to it. Yeah, absolutely. Have a little dance. Absolutely, because we have a responsibility to feel good. We need to do whatever it takes to feel good. So if it makes you feel good, do it. Really, that's the message. Also, with other people, though, sometimes you are with someone who might be experiencing a negative emotion, and you know what? It's got nothing to do with you. It's got to do with their previous relationship, or with their mother, or with their aunt, or whatever, but they are acting out with you because it was triggered by something, but it actually has nothing to do with you. And maybe you do the same with someone else. You're with someone, you're acting out, it was triggered by something, but it's got nothing to do with the person you are with. And so I want you guys to be mindful of those triggers. And often they are subconsciously driven, but be mindful. When you know what your triggers are, what do? The good ones, you seek them out, and the bad ones, avoid them. What do you do if you actually know that you have a trigger, but it is something that you're confronted with quite regularly, and there's nothing you can do about that? You're in that situation. What do? You go get help. You go see a counselor, go see a psychologist, go get help to sort that trigger out, because there's no point in going through your entire life having a bad life based on something that happened 10 years ago. Does that make sense? Good. Emotion basic number 11. Emotions are the link between your mind and your body. And we are going to come back to this when we speak about the body, but I want to show you how that works today. So think about the happiest day of your entire life. Think about the happiest day of your entire life. Yes, everyone's got the thought? They're all thinking about, Peter, you have a happy day? No?
I can't think of one thing.
Think of anything that makes you happy. Think of your dog or your teddy or your husband or your partner or anything that makes you happy. Yes, think? Everyone's got a happy thought? So, I want to show you how that works. We thought about something happy. I think about my beautiful 2 girls at home. Makes me feel happy, emotion. And what happens to my face? I get a smile. Now, if I were to say to you, think about your first pet dying, and we talk about that for a little while, what will happen? You won't feel very good, will you? It'll make you feel really sad. And correspondingly, you'll start crying. Do you see how that works? Now, I want to show you the opposite is true too. When you start smiling, even if you are not feeling good, your emotions will start to adjust to that smile. And your mind will start to think more productive thoughts. And have you all noticed that you cannot smile, cannot not smile, if you look up? But it's kind of difficult to smile if you're looking down. So that's the, yeah? Life's not very good. We're up straight smiling, life is so much better. Does that make sense? So what can you do with knowing this information? Smile. Yes, look up and smile. Okay, let's see. So it's the link between your mind and your body. You think a thought, you feel a feeling, and your body will respond accordingly. And the opposite is true too. You do something with your body, you use your will and you smile, even though you're not feeling good. You will start feeling better and your mind will start thinking better thoughts. And so your emotions are the direct link between your mind and your body. When your mind has a thought, your body will respond accordingly. And on to emotion basic number 12. Who loves change? Who cannot wait to change? Good on you, Nikki. Yeah, so that, yes. Most people do not like change. Have you noticed? Most people resist change. And I'll tell you what, some people are caught up in a comfort zone that is not comfortable at all. Do you know someone who's in a comfort zone that's not comfortable at all? The word comfort zone is very misleading because it doesn't actually mean that it's comfortable. What it does mean is it's familiar and predictable. So even people who find themselves in prison, which I hear is not a very comfortable place, have their comfort zone within that environment because it's predictable and familiar to them. And so any kind of change away from that predictability and familiarity evokes what I call the dreaded change emotion. And you know what? It's not actually change that most people resist. It's that emotion that they don't like. They don't like feeling that feeling of, oh, I'm not sure what's going to happen next. You'll be right. You've made it this far. You'll work it out. Doesn't matter what happens next, really, does it? You've made it. You'll work it out. Yes? And so it's really, really important to get to know that change feeling, that change emotion, because it is actually your friend. And I'll show you why in a second. So the comfort zone is a term used to describe an environment and circumstances that are familiar and predictable, and even prisoners have a comfort zone within prison, and it's not very comfortable, but it's predictable and familiar. So emotion basic number 13. So just to get back to 12, 12 is people don't resist change, they resist the uncomfortable change emotion that goes with change. This is a really important one. Basic number 13. You have a thinking, feeling addiction. You're all addicted, each and every one of you. And the addiction is a thinking, feeling addiction. Let me show you how that works. You have what we call dominant thoughts. And we all have these thoughts that go through our mind over and over again. So every day you are thinking the same thoughts, pretty much, and they are evoking the same emotion, and they are causing your body to respond in the same way. And so every time you think that thought, do you think that connection in your mind is strengthened or weakened? Strengthened. So pretty much what we're doing is by thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, having the same response, thinking the same thoughts, and so we are strengthening these thinking, feeling addictions all the time. And it's like if you can imagine a field with long grass, and there's a path, a well-worn path, where people have walked down. Can you imagine that, a field with grass and a path? And that's exactly what your mind is like. You choose to walk the same path every day. What's good about that? If you have good thoughts, which evoke positive emotions and good bodily response, is this thing working for you? Yeah. Yes. If you have bad thoughts, unpleasant emotional response, and a bad corresponding emotional reaction, is that working for you or against you? Against you. Is that helping you or preventing you from living an extraordinary life? It's preventing you. So if you have, again, our thoughts are subconscious. Sometimes we are not even aware of what we're thinking. So this is your homework. Become aware of your thinking, feeling addiction. And if it's not a good one, change. If it's not a good one, change it. You can use this to your advantage. Why wouldn't you? So most people want to change or they don't want to change? They don't want to change. You're lucky, Nikki. Most people do not want to change. So when you uncover the fact, if you uncover the fact that you might have a negative thinking, feeling addiction, you are going to have to force yourself in the short term to change. And the way in which you change it is by replacing those thoughts with positive thoughts. And they are our positive power statements. So every time you think, I can't do this, or I'm no good at this, or I'm really not worthy, or everything goes wrong for me. Anyone has that thought? Oh, see, everything goes wrong for me all the time. Yes? If that's going on in your mind, it's not good. Not good, guys, not good. So we need to change. And so that uncomfortable change emotion is your friend, because it's the tick. Let me give you guys a tick. When you feel that uncomfortable change emotion, it's a tick that is showing you that you are making a change. You are establishing a new thinking, feeling addiction that is working for you. And so I want to take you from that comfort zone that might be predictable but not good. Yes? You might know it, but it's not working for you. So you need to move out of that comfort zone and create a new comfort zone where you are in fact thinking good thoughts, feeling good feelings, and are getting a good emotional bodily response. Does that make sense? Good. So become aware of your thoughts. That just says everything that I've just said to you. And so does that. So emotional basic number 14. Another reason to change. Don't you love this picture? I always find it absolutely fascinating that you can go from that to that. Absolutely. Isn't it amazing? Can you go from that to that and stay the same? No. Can you turn into a butterfly and stay the same? No. So any growth, any improvement, any personal development involves change. Involves change. You cannot grow and stay the same. You can only grow and change. So that uncomfortable change emotion that I just mentioned to you before, the one that we're all trying to avoid, you should embrace it. You should make it your friend, because when you feel that emotion, you know that you are growing and changing. So feel and embrace the unpleasant change emotion as the evidence that you are changing, growing, and becoming the powerful, and may I add, unique and extraordinary you. I want nothing else, nothing more for each and every one of you to become the powerful, unique, extraordinary person that you were meant to be. And to do that, you need to embrace change. So emotion basic number 15, the second last one, procrastinate. Who loves procrastinating? I love this picture. I absolutely love that face. Should I ask again? No? No? Okay, so procrastination. It actually, let me quickly tell you, procrastination has got nothing to do with the actual action. What does it have to do with? The emotion that you are feeling about the action that you need to take. So we all have things that we need to do that we don't like. And like is a feeling. Yes, I don't like doing that. I dread doing that. That's a feeling. And so it's not, in fact, the action that's the problem. It's how you are feeling on the inside before you take the action that's a problem. But remember, and so this is onto emotion basic number 16. You can feel an emotion and do the right thing anyway. You can. So you can feel the bad feeling about an action that you need to take, and you can do it anyway. And in fact, when you start becoming aware of the fact that it's not the action that you dread, but the emotion, and you stop to feel the emotion, you'll see that it's not that bad at all. It's actually nothing but a chemical reaction in your body, and it has no power in itself whatsoever. So you could go bungee jumping, be absolutely terrified and choose to jump anyway. No. No? You could no. Or you could go and do that tax return. Yes? You could go and do your paperwork. You could go do the cleaning. Or you could make that phone call that you've been dreading. And do you know how you will feel when you do? Fantastic. So if we talk about the fact that a unique, extraordinary life, a good experience of your life is feeling a good emotion, then you don't want to get stuck on feeling the bad things that are associated with procrastinating. Does that make sense? Much better to lean in and get it done and feel good. And guess what? When you master and control your emotions, you master and control your actions. And inadvertently, you will master and control the results of your life. And so, emotions are so important in creating an extraordinary life. And they are really the key to understanding the quality of your life and to getting yourself to do the right thing at the right time. And so I got, instead of saying good night all, I go, feel good. Thank you very much. Your homework is go feel good this week, as well as the other stuff. Thank you so much, everybody.